All right, cool. So we're here. We're in this right now, Philippa. I'm glad to be in space with you. It felt like it was time to, well, actually, to tell you the truth, I just want to be in co-creation with you. And yeah, I'm happy you and I get a chance to play in a number of different capacities. And I'm happy to bring it into this space and also just build off of our relationship to go even further, even deeper, to uplift and explore and beyond. So I'm happy to be in conversation with you. In a bit, I'll set us up a little bit more powerfully for the type of conversation we're going to have here today. But I want to just know what's going on in your world, what's on your mind. There was something you were going to say beforehand before I hit record, so I want to make sure we don't lose
Yeah,
that.
yeah, no. It was this what that you were talking about this morning in another sort of group that we're in, and it was like when you're in your power, there are less questions. You know where to go, and also the questions you were asking about stepping into your power. What is that like if you actually do that? And that was actually sort of something that I'm bringing into this room today. So I'm bringing in something that I want to talk about at the same time as I'm consciously and intentionally stepping into my power as I do this, so that I can truly feel the real questions, not the how can you help me, but the I'm in my power. I have less questions about the how. Let's be in this space where we're exploring why it is I was struggling to feel around a place. This is this area I want to bring up. So that was what I wanted to say. So yeah, I'm here in my power.
There we go. This is it, Philippa. Like, and I know you to be a powerful person. So here goes the thing about the way that I choose to play the game. What most people don't know is that I do hold people accountable. I just never hold them to any of their actions or things they say that they're going to do. I hold them accountable to who they are, right? And so I've seen you in different spaces, and that level there, that's what's going to be here, right? If we're out of power, and I'll play the game myself too. If either of us, let's give this a name, because this will be a tool that we can use here. A lot of us here, let's call this the peekaboo power game, right? Peekaboo power game. And anytime that we feel out of integrity with our own power, or we're like, you know what, that question didn't really feel like it was in my power, or my response wasn't there, or whatever it is, we'll just call ourselves out and be like, peekaboo. Okay, yeah. Peekaboo, I see you.
Great.
Now let me try that again.
I like that. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Peekaboo power game is what we're playing here. And let's also just kind of let's align for ourselves on like, what does power mean for us here, right? Stepping into your power. Because the ultimate question for us that is the World Joy Movement, that is the space, is just like, how do we create a world of joy? That's the question that it's like, that every time we come together, like that's the overarching question. And we're just like, rather than, you were there in the conversation to help me step into the power of that question, rather than being in a place of, let me try and figure it out on my own, you invited me to play, and to play every day, and to play with people. So such that question that I was stuck trying to figure out in the corner became a place that like actually is fueling the power of this space. And instead of it being Niyama in isolation, trying to find out the power of the movement, it's let's figure this out together. Let's figure it out together. So I'm really happy to play in this space with you here. I'm really happy to play in the space of power. And I think, and when I look at our power, when I look at my own power, I can put it in the context of being in the ownership of the gifts, of the strengths, of the impact, of the way that people and situations around you change simply because you are there. And making sure that, like, to me, being in that power, it might involve you talking. People in their power might be able to really be in their power just from a simple look. So there's so many different ways of expressing it, but this is really around the ownership of what truly makes you impactful in the world, and owning who you are. Are you in agreement with that when I say like power? Like,
I'm seeing that. I'm thinking Yeah, in actual fact, it really is. It's about this. It also connects to this sentence of, show up, be seen. That is actually what we say, stepping into your power. If you are doing that, just being seen, being present, I am here, can change the world. Will send ripples, will, and like you say, that look, that silence, that being, even the energy, I think, when you really are doing that, when you come into a space and it's like, I am here, I'm not shrinking, I'm not puffing up, I am here, I'm standing my ground, I'm in my power, this is me. That is an energy as well that comes into the room that is very different when, and I do this, when I come in small. So I like to think, come in as a giant and don't come in small. So come in as a giant, and like there's kind of, it's like I'm doing it now. It's like a stance now, it's like this.
Let's get out of the like you're doing it now, and let's just do it now.
Yeah,
Right?
let's do it. I'm in
let's
it.
let's just do it now.
I realize
Perfect.
I'm standing here. I am Jedi Knight.
Okay. So Philippa, let's go ahead and play, because I think that's the space here. We're going to play the game of Peekaboo Power. And you're in it right now. There's no peekaboo that's here. I'm in it right now myself. I'm seeing it here, right? I have a question for you. Today I want to play the game of Peekaboo Power through the lens of coaching, right? So I'm going to sit in here, and in this conversation, it's going to be a little bit less back and forth for me in terms of like, let's go ahead and both discover. We set up this conversation to really be in not just service of you, but in co-creation with you, right? In co-creation with you. And so are you good for that? Let me just check in with your power, check in with where you are right now for playing this game. Okay. So there's one question, there's actually two questions that are on my mind. I know that you came in with something, and I want to give some space so that we can see like how to create around that powerfully, right? Yeah. The question that I would like to ask you is this: what are you creating? It's a loaded question, so like answer it how you like. What are you creating?
What am I creating? Okay, abundance. This is what I'm creating. Abundance and joy, and joy. This is okay. This is great. This question. It's a question I haven't been answering. It's a question that keeps popping up, and I'm like, well, I'll answer that next week.
You're in the process of not answering it right now.
I know. I'm just telling you, this is me, so pull me back, right? Keep me in my power, peekaboo.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am creating abundance and joy. I am creating a space for people to know what it is to come in and step into their power, to actually know what that means. Not just that's pretty words, actually feel it viscerally, and go on a journey and understand that they have the power to create their worlds. Again, this is something that is really landing on me in a visceral space, in a visceral way over the last few weeks, where my learnings and the actions that I take and the level of energy I choose to be on, and how I will pull myself up from one energy level to another, how I now can recognize where I am and how I can choose to be in power or not in power is for me so liberating, that is also the gift that I am bringing to a space where people will step in and join me, and we will create that together. I'm on this journey, I'm a little bit away ahead of them. Follow me on this path, step on this path with me, come with me, and go on this journey. It is amazing. And there's something I'm playing with, 2 words as well that I've been playing with over the last 24 hours, and that is centered power. This is, how does that feel in me? And actually pulling those, that concept into a feeling in me again and again during the day, going, it's a bit like the peekaboo power game, actually. You know, I've been playing that. It's like, where am I now? Bring in, you know, back in. What does that feel like? Centered power. Is that where I'm coming from now? Or am I, I love to be up in the brain here thinking, etc. Where am I now? Is this serving me? Which part of the brain am I in? Reptilian part of the brain? Get out of there. Back in prefrontal cortex and connect to the heart, connect to the body, connect, it's very much sort of, am I living here or actually here? Or am I living here? It's a physical, playing around with physical sensations with the brain. I'm going to say it's like going to the gym, and when I learn a new exercise, it takes a while for my brain and the muscles in my body to actually connect, and the messages to actually start flowing between one another. And I think it's definitely this feeling, this practice of doing this and making that connection. And when the brain and the rest of the muscles in the body are connected, then it's just like, ching.
Awesome. Now let me ask you, how does it feel to have said all that?
Really amazing. I'm like, I am so glad you're recording this because I'm going back to watch. That was good,
So Philippa, we're going to play this game, and I think that the way we'll play this game with you in particular is to play. We're going to play from levels of abstraction to level of concreteness, either examples or specifically what it is that would be a not every representation of what it is that you're feeling or what it is that you're trying to bring to life, but a one specific representation as well. And then we'll go back to abstraction, and we'll change the levels, we'll change the colors, we'll change the camp. Like we'll be playing in a number of different ways here. But I think that you have a strength in being able to set the overarching picture. Like I'm seeing it with you, and I love being in abstraction. And I also know that like there is something that wants to be abundantly created as well that might feel a bit on the concrete. I found myself asking myself, what does this look like for you if you were going to make this real, right? If you're going to make this real, let's say this, if you were going to look back a month from now and there was one thing, and like this, like a month is not a long time, but a month is also a pretty substantial time. I'll even give you 3 months. If we were to look 3 months from now, right? 90 days, 100 days from now, and you're able to look at it and look at something that you've created that represents and is in alignment with what you just shared right now. What would be the thing that would bring you greatest joy? There's a lot of things you could do, but if you were looking at it and saying, like, in 3 months, if this existed, like, I would know that I'm in alignment. I would know that this has come together, and the feeling I would have is joy and satisfaction within that space. What comes to mind? Paint that picture for me.
Okay. So this is going to be quite concrete now. This is like 3 months' time. I have a program. I already have it. I have a program, and over these 3 months, I have gone out into the world with this, and I have been in conversation with 100 people, let's say, at least 100 people, and I have a handful of them enrolled into this space, and we have launched this together. We are on this journey together now, and what really energizes me when I think about these next 3 months and really excites me is these conversations that I have been having with all of these 100 people, where most of them are people I've never known before. It's this, I'm about to step on a journey where I am going to be creating this spider web. I'm starting from my network, and then I'm going to be connecting out through, like a spider creates its web. So every little link is joined, and I will be having conversations that will be moving further and further and further out from where I am today. And that's what's actually really exciting me is that there is like loads of people I'm going to get to know over the next 90, 100 days that don't even know I exist today and are going to be moved by it.
All right, I'm going to ask you a few more questions, and then we're going to, as we continue on, right? If you look at if you take a present snapshot of where you are today, right now, in a way that maybe even like, let's say right before you entered into this conversation, right? When we came in and you aligned yourself with your power. If you were looking at what of your actions, your thoughts, your beliefs, the way that you were showing up prior to this year, the question in my mind is, if that person continued onwards for the next 90 days, three months, what would that person have been creating? There may have been an intention, but if you actually look at the actions and outcomes, what is that person actually created?
Exactly. And this is what I wanted to talk about, because this is where I know it's like, you know, when I step into the power, I can talk about it, I can put it into words, it feels exciting. And then when I step out of the power, that's where I've landed in an insight yesterday or over the last couple of days where I will hold myself back from creating abundance. Or actually, I'm not sure it's a whole, I will hold myself back, because that sounds like it's I realized I've been fooling myself around abundance. That was the insight that I had, and that was what I wanted to bring to the table today, going, if I'm fooling myself around this, and I want to work with this, because this for me is an important link on taking this into the journey ahead now. And to
What is
be
this? Sorry, I know I'm interrupting, but I'm what is this? You said this,
right.
you used this
Okay.
3 times, so I'm like, oh, I'm not sure whether this stands for.
Okay. This for me is, I had a conversation yesterday, no, 2 days ago, with a fellow coach around, and she was coaching me, and we ended up landing on very quickly in a place that I didn't realize we were going to be talking about, and it was abundance. And I was connecting abundance. She wanted me to feel abundance. And I was having real trouble feeling it. I actually felt incredibly squashed, and you know, so squashed I was like almost claustrophobic, wanting to cry, you know, like this feeling of squashed, and realizing that abundance wasn't that. And so, you know, we played around in that space for a while, and that was really interesting. And then it was like, and also frustrating for me, because, and I couldn't really understand why until sort of like actually just before this conversation, where I wrote to you and I said, I want to create abundance, because I'm like, holy shit, I've got to do something about this. And I'm like, but what is it? What it is it that is creating this? And I realized part of it is that I'm very good at creating abundance that has nothing to do with money, right? That I've been very good throughout the whole of my life to feel rich, to create a rich feeling, a rich experience for myself and the people in my world, with very few, or, you know, with little or no money. You know, it's and you know, and it amazes me when I look back. You know, I can look back at what I create and go, oh my God, that is just so amazing that I was able to be a part of this and enroll people into this, or help me create this, or I created it myself on my own. And now I'm stepping into a new phase of my life where part of the picture of abundance is about money, and a lot of it. And this isn't working for me right now. This is the revelation. This is the, like, I was not, it was like I was fooling myself into feeling abundant, pretending to be abundant. But there was a part of me that perhaps has been saying to myself all these years, going, but you're not really abundant because you don't have any money. You're not rich. You're not, where's the money in the bank? Where is, so this is sort of like evil part of me just going, Philippa, that's not real. That's not real abundance. And now I want real abundance. I mean, I'm laughing now because it's like, that was an interesting definition of abundance. There's real, and then there's not real abundance. Did you know that?
I see that you're actually putting in a distinction. I don't know the definition for you. So like, and that becomes important, like, because right now I need to see the world through your lens, right? I might have my own definitions around abundance here. But even within abundance, I don't have anything about true abundance, or real abundance. Actually, I would have true abundance, I would say. So let's do this here. First thing is, please define for us what is real abundance to you. It doesn't have to be anything anyone else takes on, but it needs to be important. It needs to be meaningful to you. What is real abundance to you?
Okay, and this is new to me. This is coming up for me, a distinction that somewhere was buried deep in my brain and I didn't realize. So let's put it into words. And it's, for me, so real abundance is there is something there with having a large number in the bank, not on one account. It's about having assets. It's about, there is something there, that it's having a portfolio. It's about feeling abundant in a monetary sense, which is part of power for me. This is all just coming up now. Okay. It's a part of feeling being impacted, because I'm thinking back to a time when I did have money, I had a portfolio, I had savings, I felt I was growing, and I was able then to, with more ease, create the abundant experiences for myself and my loved ones and the people around me in my world. But I'm also thinking there's just as much creativity going into that, my creativity, and not necessarily money. It wasn't like I was buying an experience, but I guess, yes, it was opening up the possibility to make a wider range of choices about the experiences of abundance I wish to share and experience myself with people, and that money was a vehicle to help me in that. And I felt so in control of my life. It's like I wasn't dependent on someone else. And that has not always been the case in my life. Like I was the one that was earning actually more than my partner. I was the one that was, I mean, I've always paid for my kids throughout the whole of the time. So, I've paid for my part of the house, for me and my kids. I've always been able to do that until I burnt out. There is this sort of crunch point for me where I lost not just my identity and integrity, but also this feeling of power, and also the money in the bank disappeared over the years. I wasn't able to work, and disappeared. I still kept paying for my kids for as long as I could. And now I'm in this space of, it's almost as though my definition, or I've sort of, I'm going to have to just say this and it'll just have to come out, this sort of loss of abundance, as though I've lost the meaning of abundance, or don't believe it's there for me anymore in that way. And that I am in this space where abundance has to come from me being purely creative with other methods and medium, and not at the level that I was at. And it's this that is sort of is like a it's this that is messing with my brain sometimes and my feelings. You know, it's like injecting a poison in me as I am about to go on this next 90 days. And it's actually perfect timing, because it really is. It was literally, this is the first, you know, next week was going to be the initiation of this whole process. And I can feel the tension in my body. I have it's actually my right leg, as though it's holding me back from moving forward. And it's these feelings around abundance, and this sort of what was real for me and what is real for me today, and a mismatch in my belief of what is possible. And it's like, there's a difference as well. Belief in possibility. Is it an intellectual belief in possibility? Oh yes, I can do that one. Oh, but I want to feel it, Nyama. You know, I want that possibility, that feeling of possibility to have sunk here and come from here, because that's where the power is. It's not up here.
I'm following you. I have a distinction between faith and belief. And when I hear you talk about, there's some things where you have faith that like it can come out, but do you necessarily believe it? To me, I feel like they live in different places, right? It's like, I have faith that all this will work out, but if I'm going to be honest, do I really believe that it's all going to come out? Maybe not in the same space. I'm hearing a few different things, Philippa, and you might see me go a little bit more rapid fire as we go on here. I'm gonna. At times I might interrupt. I might like put my hand up and just like create some space, or like put us in a different direction here. Mainly when I think that you're already on the path that you already know, that you've already explored or something like that. But there's some important things that have come out here, right? Let me ask you here, if you had to like bottom line, what is the single most important insight or even just phrase? Maybe it wasn't an insight, maybe it was just something that came up. What's the single most important thing that has been shared in this space? And if it hasn't been shared, what's the single most important thing that needs to be said in this space that you haven't yet? And I will bottom line this in a sentence or less.
Okay, the sentence that's coming up for me right now is that I do not believe I am worthy of the abundance I have previously experienced in my life. That, I think, would bottom line a lot of what I've been saying. Yeah, and disbelief is a key word here. This sort of disbelief. Is it possible for me? There's one more sentence that's coming up as well. And it's a sentence that people keep saying to me, which also could be part of this and part of holding me back. And it's, be careful not to burn out again.
People have been saying that to you out loud? They've said that to you?
Oh God, yeah, all ever since, all over the years. If ever it looks like I'm about to go and or I'm putting all my passion and everything, and then it will definitely come up more frequently. There is more worry in my sphere.
Interesting. Worry is a word that in the last 24 hours, before 24 hours ago, I never even heard it. Like that word never showed up. I used the word the other day, or someone used it in the conversation, and I was just struck by that word. I was like, oh, I have been worrying. I didn't realize that I was worrying, but like I carry worry everywhere. Everything I do is riddled in worry. I want to be this creative person out in the world, showing up and all this stuff, but I'm worried that it'll be too much. I'm worried that it won't lead to clients. I'm worried that if people get all this from me, they won't come out and decide that they want to work with me. I'm worried that it'll take up too much time. I'm like, all this worry with here. So I want to give space for worry in this conversation, because like if it's hiding as a silent passenger in our car, like it takes up a lot of space. It takes up a lot of space. I'm going to share some things with you that are flowing for me kind of intuitively right now. All right. I'm sharing this without needing to be correct, but also making sure that I'm staying in my power here. And part of my power is like I have a power of pattern recognition. That sometimes it's intuition, sometimes it's a download, and sometimes it's just like, oh, could it be this? And I want to make sure, like, for me to be able to stay in the power, I don't want to hold on to something that it may not be. Right. Does that work for you?
Yeah, that does. And I appreciate what passive pattern recognition. Yeah.
So I'm going to play back some things as I'm hearing it in a little bit. All right. So what I'm hearing here is that, because in my mind, I was wanting to understand what real abundance was, right? So what I'm doing is unpacking. I'm hearing things at a high level. It's good, great. Let's keep unpacking. So that like the path that, like, one of the paths that's actually available to you. And he brought up real abundance. And the two questions I was going to ask was, what does real abundance mean from you in terms of a definition? And then I was going to ask you to make it real. Like make real abundance real, because I was like, we'll probably be up in like a conception of what it is. Yeah. Along the way, you brought up some of what real abundance was for you in a more real context here, and you talked about that there's a previous time when you had the money, you had the portfolio, you had the savings, you were experiencing growth, you had a wider range of choices. Like you were the one that was making more money than your partner. You were providing for your family. You're like, and however that was split or like handled, like you knew that you could take care of whatever it is that was like on your plate and that you had decided to address. And then he said, I paid for me and my kids until I burned out. So I actually, when he said that, I wrote that and I was like, boss, I'm like, we need to come back to this. There's an element here of like abundance here, real abundance to me. Like there's an element of that feels like it's tied to freedom. Is it like, and the freedom here is like the freedom to be in just the creativity, the freedom to just be again, and it felt, so as you were talking, I'm like, the questions that came to mind here, and I'll pose some of them, let it wash over you as it may, but the questions that came to mind was, are we talking financial abundance? Is she really looking for a financial abundance? And then the part came, is like, or is it financial freedom? Or is it the freedom that comes when she has her like finances in a place where she's like, okay, there's money in the bank, there's more money in the bank, everything's taken care of. Like I really don't need to worry about anything when it comes to the financial part. And I compare that to I think there's different levels when it comes to money. Like sometimes it's like financial independence. Like I want to be independent from my partner or spouse or anyone that I'm dependent on. So financial independence has its own thing. Financial freedom has its own place. Like I just want to be financially free and free to do anything I want to do to finance. Financial abundance could have its own thing. You know, being really, really ridiculously rich does not make you financially independent. You know, you can become dependent on the money even. Right. But there's a lot of people who have a lot of money that aren't actually financially independent because it's not, for a number of different reasons.
Yeah.
So as you're talking, I'm hearing some of this. Right. And so far, like there's a few more things I'm going to paint out in this picture, but I want you to take some notes, see what's real, see what's not, see what lands, what doesn't. As you were also talking, you reminded me of a TV show I was watching when I was in the States last. And the TV show was called Undercover Billionaire. And it was about a billionaire who had like multiple billions and said, I've always said to my friends that if you put me anywhere in the US, give me 90 days, a phone and a beat up pickup truck. And I bet you I can make have $1 million business, have $1 million valuation business. Right. And he's like, so he used his own money. He bought a crew and went and did this experiment. And what really struck me about that period of time when he was in there in the 90 days was he was very honest about, look, I know business, I know I can create, but if I don't, I'm coming here with just a beat up pickup truck and a cell phone. If I don't have my housing situation and my food situation taken care of, I can't really get into the business created. So let me go first and go and say, for the next 90 days, how much do I need to set aside to be able to not have to worry again about any living expenses?
Yeah.
Right. And he made that really real. He's like, this is just the number that I need. And I'll do whatever it takes for me to get that money in so that that's done. And then I can go create a business. But like right now, I just need cash flow to take care of these expenses so that I have a budget. And like he was living out of his car for a good period of time, you know? So it's like, so these things actually, as you were talking, there was a part of me that was like, I wonder if this is about, if she's in that stage where it's like, she's trying to create a business, but whatever the internal house is for you, the internal thing, has that been built yet such that you feel the freedom that you're looking for it? And if that's the case, if not, then would the next 90 days, like what if you took, they always spent like a week or two like on it. It wasn't like the entire period of time, you know, but would you want to spend time in the next 90 days specifically creating for you to feel that level of abundance when it comes to, or freedom or whatever it is, security even, because that word hasn't shown up, but from that perspective, right? The last thing here, so there's something that you said, were the two sentences. You do not believe you're worthy of the abundance you previously had. That one I need, like, that's something that just needs to be unpacked. Should you find it to be meaningful? Like, you know, I can be there in the worthiness conversation. And I think that there's sometimes there's two ways to go in coaching. One is, let's have a deep exploration as to why you feel that way. And another thing is, okay, given that you feel this way, what do we want to create from there? Right. I think in this conversation, I think I'd rather be with you in the latter period of this all. Like I think it's great that we've acknowledged it, but I don't know if like helping you feel worthy about it is the same as like would serve you as much as create into a place where that becomes irrelevant in a sense. And I think it's a larger conversation I want to have. And if you feel like it's really important, we can. That's not important. If it's timely to have that conversation now, then we will, right? But I'm not brushing it under the rug. I'm holding it up to the light and saying, one of this might be a shadow thing to look at, and the other one might be the actual object, you know? So like, which one do we want to look at? And then the last thing here then is be careful not to burn out again. And we have the burnout again. And I like, to me, that is a space. If there was one place that I could continue to spend time with you on in terms of creation, it will be in the burnout space, that's the space that I would go, because that's where it feels like scarcity truly shows up. It's like, I think you know how to create. I think you know how to create financially for yourself and for your family. I think that what you may not know how to create is how do you do it in a way that doesn't burn you out.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So I'm going to pause. There's a lot that I reflected back. I reshaped some things, and so forth. Let me just make sure that we're staying in the same. We're seeing things shoulder to shoulder here. What resonated? What felt off? And where should we go from here?
Okay. I really like. Let's go back to, you were talking about financial independence, abundance, freedom, and creativity. And I wrote I didn't mean financial creativity. I was kind of answering your questions there, and that is a space where I can continue to explore. Definitely after our conversation, it's not something I necessarily need to spend time on here, but this distinction was interesting because it resonated for me in the respect that it was like, oh yeah, it's not about being rich, it's not about financial abundance, it's about that sense of being able to be creative, being able to, and I think it's connected to what you were saying, the housing and food situation, that's sorted. Now, you see, ironically enough, the housing and food situation is sorted. It's like, I don't have to earn a lot of money at the moment. I have a husband. I'm in a situation where, together our housing and our food situation is glorious. It's not a problem. But it's, I guess what hit me with you was that you were talking about this internal, the feeling that I have around being able to contribute there with that again, be a part of creating that sense of, I'm a part of creating that housing and food, that good situation that we have. And yeah, I think it's not, I think it's that felt that there was something there. And again, I was also thinking, it's not just the housing and food situation. I think it's like this sense of housing and food situation, and there's some money in the bank. I'm saving, something is happening there. And it's not about, oh, I'll be happy when I have 5 million in the bank. It's not about a large sum of money. I think it's about being in this process, that this is up and running and it is moving, and it is, moving and flowing in whatever way it moves and flows, but it's moving, it's happening. And it's always happening. And as an entrepreneur, you earn more some days and less other days. And that's not, it's not like I'm looking for I have to have a salary and I'm saving every month. It is this feeling of, I'm in the flow, I'm creating, money's coming in, money's coming out, I'm part of the housing and food situation. And I'm also, I have a portfolio that is growing, that it's doing its stuff, and I can be creative with. It's expanding my possibility to be creative. And I think, when you were saying that, that was where I was landing in my happy feelings. That was interesting. That was like, and it wasn't being, oh, I want to be financially independent from my husband. It's like, no, actually, that's not really interesting for me. That's
Not where the joy lives, right there, right?
No, it's a different thing. So that was that section. And then just to finish off as well, these two things, worthiness and burnout. I think you're right there. It felt good as well when you said, we can have a conversation around worthiness, and it's like, nah, not right now. Yeah, there's something I've been working with, and yes, but not right now. I would love to have a conversation where we're talking about from where I feel creating. That's good. Not the why are you feeling like this, but what, you are feeling this, right? Let's create from here. that's for me feels so much more powerful today, and something that I can, you know, I'm it's almost kind of like I'm fed up with being in the swamp of analyzing why I'm worthy or not worthy. That's not moving me on. It's almost like you've got stuck there, Philippa. Now is actually the time to do take the steps out of that swamp. And then that was really interesting what you said as well about the burnout and the scarcity, linking those together, because of course that's it. That's completely it. You know, that fall was kind of like a lesson to me, or I took it, you know, that was the story I told myself, is that, oh no, there isn't abundance in the world. There isn't, you know, there is a stop somewhere. There is it's not enough. And that it could be there that something is happening here, that I didn't have enough energy. I didn't have enough energy for a long time to even read a whole article, let alone a book. You know, my brain was so frazzled. So then it became scarce. Yes, this sort of scarcity, I think, very much being in this really weird sensation of living in scarcity. Yes, in a world of there are limitations all the time to what I am capable of doing. And so now, when I feel, and have been like this for a couple of years now, when I feel that I'm, you know, people say, oh, it takes as many years for you to burn out and to recover and blah, blah, blah. And it's taken me years, but it's like, I feel I'm back now. You know, it feel like this is, you know, my brain is at max capacity again. I've healed my brain, I've healed my body, and I've learned an enormous stuff along the way, so that I'm not going to land there again. However, if we're going to take the word worry, which was really great that you picked it up on it, the worry of people around me is infectious, and then becomes my worry, and will pop up occasionally. And especially when, you know, I've gone all into something, and there'll be we're worried, you know, or and it will pop up, and it's like, you know what, didn't need to hear that. I'm actually quite good at sabotaging myself. So I don't need you to come along and help me. You know.
I got you on that one. I got you there. Yeah.
So there you go. That's the feedback. Love it. Really love it. So much. Oh my goodness, so much to dive into there.
So let's do this here then. First, let's breathe on that. Let's breathe all this in real quick. I just like to give us a chance to like reset ourselves, check on the peekaboo game, like see where we are. Just breathe in, a deep breath in, deep into the center of you. Feel yourself not just grounded, but feel yourself centered. Wherever you happen to be in alignment with you. Let's take that time, and I'll do the same. And if you can, allow the joy within you to continue to grow from this centered place. Maybe you're helped out by the laughter of a young child laughing in the background. Bring that in and allow that to come in. When you're ready, then let's go ahead. We'll continue from there. Okay. All right. So Philippa, I know I had set this out as a quick conversation, but I feel like we're on to something right here. We could end it here. But there's some things that are playing out right now that I'm like, if you're good, I believe I have the next half hour to continue this conversation. Are you good with that?
Yeah, I have as well. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
All right. So that let's keep the space in here, and let's calibrate on some things. You know, look, in hearing some of what really struck you and what I shared, the the place of worthiness really like actually resonates in a different way for me here. Uh, I came to when I moved from the U.S. I came in on a dependence pass. I like literally on my the card in which I go around, it says dependence. I couldn't open up a bank account in my name, so on and so forth. So I know what it's like to be in a place where you're like everything is was you had your own agency around it, and then like now you're in a place where that's not the case. And it's interesting. So my wife and I, like traditionally, especially in American culture, men are the breadwinners in the family, and we've gone through a period of time where that was switched. you know and my wife's a powerhouse of a person, so like and the way that we build our relationship completely allows for it. And there's an element of impact, that change where it's like nothing's missing. We have everything that we need. We have a thriving child. We have friends out here. We're traveling all over, and yet there's still questions of, do I deserve this right now? Am I bringing this? Am I making my contribution right now? And I just want to just give space to, at least from my standpoint, just to let you know that I get it. I have my own flavor of it, but I do get how like everything could be completely okay, and at the same time still feel as though something is missing. I just want to just make sure that I don't just sweep that under, because it's not at least for me, it wasn't an imaginary thing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah. Secondly, and this actually happened more in the recent times. One of the things that I recognize with that is actually we're making an incredible investment, and what's an investment in a future that will provide more abundance in more ways than just what we were able to get beforehand, and do it in a way that like fulfillment comes along in a way that will continue to be there. For me, it's joy, right? My joy is like I can actually be joyful in everything else. And in recognizing that, I also recognize that there was a part of me that was dragging things down, because I was like, I need to make this contribution right now. The contribution needs to exist now. And so there was this tug of, I'm creating impact in the world. No, I'm creating income in the world. I'm creating impact. I'm creating income. And it was almost like I look back, and it almost invariably happens. Every 3 to 6 months, I will go in with something that has the intention of being impact, and then I'll like feel the urge to throw on income on top of it, and then neither of the two really happen as I want. I might get some income, but then I'm like, I'm bored. It's not the money I want. It's not going to be sustainable, so on and so forth. So there's a part here that I'm going to just offer here around like, if you are making this, if you and your partner have decided to make this investment in yourself and in your futures here, what is the way that you can you can honor it the most here? You don't need to answer it right now, but I want to give space to like was a decision here to make an investment that you come and you turn things around in a short period of time, or was there another investment or another decision that the two of you made together when you decided to go down this path? I don't need to know it in this moment, but I want to put that in here just to give some freedom and space to really make sure that like the elements that we're feeling on internally about being on this part of the journey, or being in a space where we're not contributing the way that we've used to contribute within our family unit, we're able to look at it and see what is the investment, what's the contribution that we're really looking to make. That's one. All right. Are you good with taking that? Like, if you feel there's a lot of power in it, we'll come back to it. But I want to make sure I'm putting that out here and just give you some time to maybe go journal, go think, and just recalibrate on that. All right?
Yeah.
All right. The second thing here is I'm going to wait, actually. Take your time and write. I just don't want you to have to be in two places at once.
Oh, I've got it. And I'm gonna. It was a good question.
The second thing here is actually going to be something I'm going to invite you to, um, based on his name's Mike Michalowicz. I believe I'm saying his last name properly. He's the author of the Pumpkin Plan and also a book called Profit First. And in Profit First, one of the major takeaways there was a lot of people will go create money and then kind of allocate it to expenses, and then they will go after the allocation of expenses. They might even increase it, and then they'll see where the revenue goes. They go in their expenses, and then whatever just happens to be left over, they'll go to profit. But then it doesn't seem to always. They at the end of the year, they're like, where did the profit go? And so in his book, there's a number. This is a gross oversimplification. I do recommend reading it if you haven't yet. But he recommended creating multiple multiple accounts in your banking accounts, such that when a dollar goes in, you can allocate every dollar of revenue that comes in to a certain percentage, some percentage to taxes, some percent to operating expenses, some percentage to profit, and having that be what it is. And as you were talking, there was an element of it that felt like, well, what if for you, Philippa, you started and approached this from an abundance first place, where you looked at it and you said, okay, you want to have a portfolio, you want to have savings. You've talked about these different things, but then you also talked about there isn't a number in mind. It's really that you want to see growth, So it's so why not play that game? Why not allow yourself to start seeing the growth, regardless of whatever dollar comes your way? It could be, just think about this, a stimulus package. It could be a refund. It could be a whatever. It could be a client. It could be whatever it is. Whatever dollar that comes your way coming in, going forward, allocate it such that it's in alignment with your portfolio, and spend some time just watching the growth of that once again.
Yeah.
How does that feel for you? Let me just check in before I move on to the next part.
Oh yeah. Little sort of Mr. Happy is in here definitely right now. It's like, no, it's not happy. It's peace. It's peace. Mm-hmm. Peace landed there when you said that, and I started feeling that and going, and I know how to do it. It's not a how question. That is not my problem. It's that. It's not about contributing to the house and the food. It's about seeing my portfolio starting to grow and to see that happening continuously, because the rest will look after itself.
Yeah.
And I have that luxury that I don't have to worry about the house and the food and the stuff. So it's like, let's do it where I'm going to get inner peace.
Yeah. Inner peace. Like that to me is part of the compass here for you, right? Yeah. Inner peace. Like, it kind of leads into the next part of burnout. But before we get to that, I think let's come back, let's calibrate, let's see what happens, let's see if that brings you to inner peace or not. We know what the actual destination is. It's like right now with this, we don't need abundance, like in the same sense of what others might think abundance is. For you, abundance is inner peace. If we can get you to peace when it comes to this part, we're good. We're good. And so now we're calibrating to peace within this section here. Yeah. Right. And it will take some time, and we'll look at it and we'll see, is it actually bringing into peace or not, and we'll keep this still into what is at the core of this here. Because this part, it isn't a survival element here. This is a part of, like, on an internal metric, what makes you feel worthy, what makes you feel good, what makes you feel whatever it is that you want to feel. And so we're looking for, and this is where I was at along the way. Like, we're looking for real ways to take the feelings, for you to be able to, for us to be able to say, okay, how do we calibrate in it? Because on any given day, the feeling might exist. And if we can give ourselves different metrics or different ways to kind of come in and be like, the peace I feel, just looking at my portfolio, seeing these accounts grow by whatever they're growing by, knowing that like every time something comes in, it's going up. It's going up, that it will keep going up as things keep coming in, Namaste.
I realize as you're saying that as well. I used to love going into my accounts and looking at the numbers and looking at the different investment funds and like being so sort of, satisfied in deciding which ones I was going to sell and which ones I was then going to, move around. And, I liked having a bank manager that I would go and sit and talk to and advise about. And I enjoyed that. I really, and you know what? I've never said that in the world. It's like, I enjoyed booking an appointment at the bank and sitting down there and talking about, investment funds and shares and stocks and things like that. Yeah.
So, play this here. I like, and if it makes sense, if it feels like it'd be fun for you, schedule that appointment, and schedule that appointment. And I think the thing about it here is to enjoy the conversation for what the conversation is, not necessarily for what's in the bank right now, because I'm not sure what's in the bank right now, but I don't think that right now we want to tie it to the actual numbers. We want to tie it to the sensation of the relative growth of playing with it and so on and so forth. So if it is genuinely enjoyable to go and have that conversation, then go do it. Put on go put on your bank best and go, schedule that in and have some fun.
Yeah.
Have some fun with it, right? Because in the absence, and now we're getting to the burnout part of this year too, but in the absence of peace, in the absence of having fun, right? What's left is you're draining from a tank that isn't being filled.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
So let me check in with you. I'll tell you right now. I'm paying attention to. Let me just check in with you, because I think that there's things to explore in the burnout part. I think with even you in our conversations, you've mentioned burnout a few different times, but it's never really gotten what I would feel like the space that it needs to come out and help us be in a place that is creative around that. Mm. I want to see, right now, I'll tell you this, my intuition is saying that my young one is looking for a change, and it's time for me to go step into that. So my intuition is saying, let's create another time. It could even be 24 hours from now. But we create another time to really go and explore down the route of burnout and burn in and peace. Like people talk about ease. Maybe it's not about ease for you. Maybe you don't need things easy, but you do need peace. Perhaps that's where it is,
Yeah.
There's something here that feels that if we were able to let this continue to blossom for even just for 24 hours for you to see where this is, I think it's important that we have the conversation about creating and burnout and anything that comes in there that might be a blocker to you creating the way that you want to create, But I think that it feels separate but related to the conversation that we've been having thus far, and I want to make sure we're giving enough space to that. Are you good with that?
I'm good with that. Yeah, I am. I'm really good with that. Yeah. I don't normally give it much space either. So this is good. You're actually calling me out a little bit on that as well. Almost like, I bring it up and then I
welcome to my world, Philippa. I like to say, right? Because we're all in the practice of creating the World Joy Movement, the things that we do. We're all in the practice of creating the world that we want to see in the world, right? Mm-hmm. We talked about what are you creating, and we said, what are your actions like? What is that creating? Mm-hmm. I'm creating a space where we can literally we can hear each other, and this to me is actually saying when someone says being heard, that is it. I'm listening for the things that aren't being said. I'm listening for the things that are massive that are actually being swept under. And I'm seeing things that most people are trying to hide, right? And so, yeah, I just we have an ongoing relationship, and I've noticed that burnout comes in, and yet at the same time, it's never really been present. It's kind of like, hiya, burnout. Yeah. It's and then there was this burnout bye, like, and that's it, right? And it really, it feels like, I would love to give it the space that I think it like that it takes up, you know, whether it's for you or for other people, that we go in and we address this and we find out what creating looks like for you, such that burnout isn't even on the horizon, you know, that we have lead indicators to let you know, so that you can go as much as you like to, and then you can still see. And then we create different things that like let you see, like, actually, I don't have to worry about how high up am I on my burnout. I need to be more about, where am I in my peace? How's my inner peace on this? Oh, I'm good. Like this is peaceful. It might be stress and work for you, but for me, this is peaceful. It is peaceful for me to jump onto a call and record with you. Like, that is ease. That's, you know, like there's nothing in it. And except for the fact that I'm like, I got to be in my power. I got to be with someone that I care about, and someone who I see is out there in the world, uplifting the world in her own way. Sign me up. But people are going to look at it and they're going to see the volume of conversations. They're going to see the amount that goes out in the world, and they're going to get, I know this because it's happened. Like, I get stressed just looking at your portfolio, your profile. You know, I'm like, I got you, but this is like how I'm showing up. You know, this is peace. This is ease for me.
Yeah.
So let's do this here. I'm glad we had this conversation. If there's one insight, one thing that feels different for you than when you came into this conversation, or one question that you want to continue to explore as a result of this conversation, what would it be?
I love how this inner peace is connected to my feelings of abundance, and how that can be the on the opposite side of burnout, that I really like. And as an insight for me to take on board now and actually put something into action, then it's definitely around the portfolio creation. And that was like, wow, that's so simple. You know, even if it's just $2 on something, do you see what I mean? It doesn't actually matter how much it is, the fact that I've started something and it's growing. So yeah, thank you. Thank you. Hang on.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you for playing this. Simplicity is the game. Okay, am I back now?
Yeah, you're back now.
Okay. Yeah, simplicity is the game. That's it. And we will go through the complexity of it all. That's fine. What will happen here is that I think it's a sign saying this conversation has come to a completion. You know,
I think so too.
So what we'll do here is like, so Philippa, I'm grateful for you. Thank you for being a part of the movement. Thank you for literally being in a space of figuring out how you continue to show up in the world. I'm grateful for this conversation. And here's another hint around abundance overall. Abundance and gratitude are really, really strongly connected. So the practice of gratitude goes a long way, right? And like, that's more of a back pocket thing now from our conversation, but I want to make sure I put it in here too.
Yeah,
right?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Brilliant.
All right.
We'll work out a new time.
We'll work out a part the continuation of this conversation.
You go and have a really good laugh with your son now, please.
Oh, we're gonna go play. My joy is about to transform again. All right.
Yes. Take care now.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye.
Bye.
It's the World Joy Movement. Yeah. What was your greatest insight from this conversation? And if you want to come and be a part of a conversation like this live, it's really simple. Just go to beworldjoy.com and come introduce yourself, and let's take the conversation to the next level, because you're there now. All right, let's play.